Hello, today I am going to talk to you about loneliness and how I managed to move through the feelings of loneliness I felt when I first moved to France. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Patricia Brooks, and I am an American expat living in the south of France and have been since 2018. And I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living in a foreign country, but who lack the confidence and courage to make it happen on their own, to build that confidence and courage so that they can finally live in their dream country. And on this channel, I share content about my life in France, about moving abroad, and how to dig down deep and discover that strength within you so that you can live the kind of life you know you are meant to live. And today I'm going to be talking about how I was able to move through my loneliness in a way that worked well for me. All right, so the first thing that I did, or the first thing that helped me to minimize the loneliness that I felt here in France, was having a solid base of the French language. Now, for me, that was very helpful because while I was living in a city at the time, it was not necessarily a city that is known for its large English-speaking population, not like a Paris or a Nice. And so being able to communicate and being able to understand slow-spoken French at the time really helped me to feel like I was not so far apart. Yes, there were times I didn't understand. Yes, there were times people didn't understand me, but it bridged the gap to a degree. If I had come without any French, I think my feeling like I was on an island all by myself would have been greater. One thing that I learned a couple years into my life here in France was that language is a true connector of people. I have a friend who teaches at Smith College. She teaches languages, and so she can speak Portuguese and Italian and French, and she was learning Catalan, and she was visiting a Serre, and I met her on a tour, and the following day we went to have coffee together at a cafe. And we were talking, and then somebody she had met a day or two earlier sat down and she greeted him in Catalan. And they had a brief conversation. And then she turned to me and she said, "You know what? If you really want to endear yourself to people here, you should learn Catalan." And I laughed. But the guy said to me in French, "Oh, no, that's true. If you were to speak to me in Catalan, you'd be a really good friend of mine." And I laughed again, but I think there is some truth to that. And so I think that learning French or having some French under your belt before you get here, or whatever language it is that you need to speak in your new country, will definitely help you feel more connected. All right, so that's the first point. So the second thing that I did was I put myself out there as somebody who has introvert tendencies. It can be challenging to go to events alone where you don't know anybody. But that's exactly what I did. And I knew that I would have to do that unless I was going to stay in my apartment all day and be lonely, which was not the kind of vision I had for my life here in France. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to make friends. And so I did the hard thing, and I went out and I met people. And I did this using a site called On Va Sortir, which is similar to meetup.com. And I attended art openings with people who had set up groups to do this. I had drinks with people. I even attended a laughter yoga session during my first 2 or 3 weeks here. And I didn't even know what laughter yoga was. But I went because I love to laugh and it seemed like it would be interesting. And there I met the facilitator of the laughter yoga sessions and we became friends. And I still see her from time to time now that I am in Surrey and she is in a village not too far from here. So you might say, yeah, Patricia, putting yourself out there is the way to make friends. It's the way to minimize loneliness, but I am not particularly gifted in meeting people. I don't have the gift of gab. What should I do, or what can I do? And I would recommend that you start to practice that. Go to meetup.com, find a group that does something that you want to do, and sign up for an event. Go to that event and put yourself out there. Go up to somebody who is there and introduce yourself. And then go to another event and do the same thing. And you'll see over time, it gets easier to, number one, actually go to the events, but number two, to introduce yourself and to have small conversations with people. And that is the way that it starts. Because staying in your apartment or staying in your house is not going to help you build this skill or help you feel any less lonely. So you got to get out there, you got to meet people, and getting good at that is a way to minimize loneliness when you move abroad. Okay? And the third thing that helped me to feel less lonely when I first moved to France was that I like myself. Now that might sound odd when I'm talking about being lonely or loneliness, but it matters. First off, I enjoy being by myself because I like myself. So I am not necessarily giving off an energy of neediness when I am around other people. I think that when we are around people, we give off a certain energy, and people can sense it. Like, they might not be able to express what they're feeling, but people can express the energy that you're giving off and how it makes them feel. So if I did not like myself and I was going out and meeting people, the people that might be attracted to me might be people who I didn't want to be around, people who I didn't like either, right? I would be attracting that same energy. But because I like myself, I think that attracted a different quality of person, and it didn't repel people who I might find as acquaintances who would then become friends. Now, it might sound a little bit strange that I'm saying that, but I think that that is a huge differentiator in people who seem to have friends or to make connections more easily. So what can you do if you feel like you could stand to like yourself a little bit more? The first thing that you can do is say an affirmation that Louise Hay has taught me to say, and that is, I approve of myself. I approve of myself. That goes a long way. And repeating that every morning, repeating that every night before you go to bed is a good start. I think another thing that has helped me to like myself is being able to trust myself. And the reason that I can trust myself is because I honor my word to myself. If I say I'm going to do something, even if it's to myself, then I tend to do it. And in that way, I develop a level of trust for myself, level of trust that if I had for somebody else, I would say, I like that person. So there's definitely things that you can do on that level. And I think that the more that you like yourself before you make a move abroad, the more that you put yourself out before you make a move abroad, the more that you learn of the language that is spoken in your target country, the easier it will be for you to navigate this thing called loneliness. You may still feel loneliness, but the bouts of loneliness that you will be shorter. The bouts of loneliness that you will have won't keep you in the house. You will sense, I'm feeling lonely. Maybe it's time for me to go out and meet some people. And in that way, you can move through this. I want to close by saying that one of the things that I spoke about in the beginning, the language thing, has helped for me to situate and settle so very nicely. The great cross section of French friends and English speaking friends. But beyond that, having the confidence to ask for what I am looking for in a store without hesitation or without not asking because I don't have the words in French was an empowering point in my journey here. And I think that helped me feel more like I belonged, helped me feel less lonely because I was able to communicate in a way similar, fairly similar to the way I could in the US. And in that way, that part of myself that I was missing in the early days had joined me here in France. And so I think that's another part of the loneliness is feeling like you have lost a part of you because you aren't able to communicate in the way that you want to in your foreign country. So the better you get at being able to express yourself and communicate and ask for the things that you need, I think that you'll feel better about being here and feel less, as I said, like you're on an island. All right. So if you struggle with loneliness, or if you think that you would struggle with loneliness, and that is something that makes you unsure or uncertain or less confident in your move abroad and your move abroad plans, then let's have a conversation. I offer a complimentary discovery call where we can talk about the things that are holding you back from making this move abroad on your own, and we can find out if our working together makes sense. So if that sounds of interest to you, be sure to click the link in the description for the discovery call, and we can have that conversation. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.